Get the unmissable news stories of the day.
This is the Beijing Hour.
Examining the events that impact and shape China and the rest of the world. This is the Beijing Hour, 1 hour of news and information brought to you every weekday. Now here's your host.
Shane Bigham with you on this Monday, March 9th, 2026. You're listening to the Beijing Hour, coming to you live from the Chinese capital. On today's program, the chairman of the National People's Congress Standing Committee has delivered a work report highlighting the building of a socialist market economy. NPC deputies have reviewed a draft law on promoting ethnic unity and progress across the country. Iran's Assembly of Experts has selected a new supreme leader for the country. In business, China remains committed to safeguarding order in capital markets. In sports, Chinese stars won her first All-England badminton title. In culture and entertainment, China's film market appears to be solidifying its #1 box office ranking globally. Now checking the day's top stories. China says its top legislature supported reform and development through high-quality legislation over the past year. The fourth session of the 14th NPC held a second plenary meeting on Monday. Standing Committee Chairman Zhao Leji delivered a work report. China will move forward with legislation on finance and financial stability this year. The country will also advance the drafting of a state-owned assets law as part of efforts to build a high-standard socialist market economy. Authorities say they'll strengthen research on legislation in emerging fields, including artificial intelligence. Gao Yiming has more.
Chairman of China's National People's Congress Standing Committee Zhao Leji reviewed the work of 2025. Zhao said the NPC Standing Committee has strengthened legislative work to support reform and development through high-quality laws. In economic legislation, the NPC Standing Committee enacted the Private Sector Promotion Law last year, establishing the principles of impartial treatment, fair competition, equal protection, and common development. It also revised the Unfair Competition Law to help promote a credit-based economy. In the area of social governance and public well-being, the NPC Standing Committee enacted the law on public health emergency response and revised the law on the prevention and control of infectious diseases. The cybersecurity law was also revised to enhance data security and personal information protection. Environmental protection legislation has also been strengthened, including progress on the Ecological and Environmental Code. Zhao said the NPC Standing Committee has carried out its oversight responsibilities and strengthened supervision within the party and state oversight system.
We strengthened oversight over the implementation of the Constitution and laws and over the work of the State Council, the National Commission of Supervision, and the Supreme People's Court and the Supreme People's Procuratorate. The aim is to ensure state institutions exercise their powers and perform their functions in accordance with the law and the people's lawful rights and interests. In particular, their democratic rights are safeguarded and fulfilled.
Zhao also said the NPC Standing Committee has expanded foreign exchanges to support China's overall diplomatic agenda. Looking ahead, he said the NPC Standing Committee will promote high-quality development in the work of people's congresses, contributing their share to a strong start of the 15th five-year plan. He said the NPC will continue improving the socialist legal system with Chinese characteristics.
In our endeavour to advance the rule of law, we will place greater emphasis on aligning it with efforts to deepen reform, promote development and ensure stability, while also paying greater attention to safeguarding and promoting social fairness and justice. With a focus on supporting the implementation of the 15th five-year plan, we'll strengthen legislation in key, emerging and foreign-related areas, striving to enhance the quality of our legislative work.
That was Gao Yiming on top legislator Zhao Leji's work report on Monday morning. China's made significant progress in strengthening its legal system to ensure legislation keeps pace with national development. Over the past year, lawmakers deliberated on 40 drafts of laws, legal interpretations, and decisions, adopting 24 of them. These included 6 new laws, 14 amendments, 1 legal interpretation, and 3 legal decisions on major issues. Together, these measures helped improve the legal framework for the socialist market economy and advance legislation on public health emergency response, infectious disease prevention and control, and food security. In addition to promoting whole-process people's democracy, lawmakers also revised legislation to support the modernization of grassroots governance systems and capacity. China's top court says the country's intensified efforts to safeguard national security and combat separatism and the smuggling of strategic resources. Supreme People's Court President Zheng Jun delivered a work report at the annual session of the country's national legislature.
We're unwavering in safeguarding national security. We'll ramp up efforts to combat subversion, separatism, terrorism, and cult activities. We'll crack down hard on die-hard Taiwan independent separatists. We'll bring to justice crimes such as smuggling rare earths and other strategic resources overseas in accordance with the law, and forge a solid judicial safeguard for the security of national strategic resources.
The top prosecuting bodies delivered a work report. Top prosecutor Ing Yong says China's made strides to improve cyberspace governance and prosecuted several major criminal rings for conducting telecom fraud.
Continued efforts were made to improve cyberspace governance. A total of 182,000 individuals were prosecuted for cybercrimes. 69,000 were prosecuted for telecom and online fraud. In response to the armed harboring of telecom fraud and heinous crimes against Chinese citizens by gangs led by criminal rings of Bai, Ming, Wei and Liu families in northern Myanmar, the Supreme People's Procuratorate guided the filing of public prosecutions against 285 individuals and ensured severe punishment. Judicial protection of citizens' personal information has been strengthened. We resolutely uphold order in cyberspace.
And with more, guest Sri Manikam spoke to Einar Tangen, a senior fellow at the Center for International Governance Innovation.
Now, Einar, how do you think the NPC Standing Committee can continue to improve the country's socialist legal system with Chinese characteristics?
Okay, so there's a number of parts to that. First is direction, and we saw that with the 15th five-year plan. These are the goals that they're going forward. Now, the NPC understand this is the government, this is the state council, and the legislation. They can change the constitution, but they're an operative group. All right, they participate in coming up with the policies, kind of like the board of directors, and then you have the CEO and all the people who are going to implement. And then who are the shareholders in China? It's the people. So they're working for the people. The question is different functions. So they're absolutely necessary because they have to put together the framework which underlies the policies. So yes, I want to reform the country. I want to do poverty. I want to make sure there's food security. I want to make sure there's accountability, and I want to make sure that the people have their voice in this. There has to be a set of laws, rules, regulations, and they have to be enforced.
Now, Einar, why do you think there's a lot of importance or emphasis on cyberspace governance and telecom and online fraud this year?
We're moving into a digital age, and you have to have laws that regulate what goes on in those kinds of areas. So yes, you're going to see more of this as this kind of digital revolution that we're going through continues. But I want to draw one point. You know, you can talk about policy, but at the end, legitimacy is conferred by action, by actual accomplishment. So for instance, in China, it has one of the lowest violent crime rates in the world. All right. And if you compare it to somewhere like the U.S., murders are 10 to 15 times lower. So in China, it's 0.5. In the U.S., it's 5 to 6%. So 5 to 6 per 100,000.
That's a huge margin.
Well, it's a huge margin, but it doesn't just happen. You have a cohesive society, one that believes in the rule of law, and that comes through hope, knowing that the government is in fact working for you, as opposed to in some places where people feel the government is working against them.
As Einar Tangen at the Center for International Governance Innovation. Chief Judge Li Rui with China's top court says criminal offenses in the country have generally shown a downward trend.
In 2025, people's courts at all levels received more than 1 million first-instance criminal cases and concluded over 1 million cases, representing decreases of nearly 13% and over 11%. Minor criminal cases, such as those involving dangerous driving and crimes assisting information network criminal activities, constituted the majority.
Chinese courts concluded trials in around 46,000 serious violent criminal cases last year, and that was down 7.3%. Li said the number of individuals sentenced to less than 3 years of imprisonment or convicted and exempted from punishment totaled over 1.2 million, accounting for more than 86% of all convicted criminals. He also warned of the emergence of new types of crimes involving online rumors, cyber violence, and live streaming offenses. Courts in China concluded over 9,300 cases for crimes endangering cybersecurity over the past 5 years, with 22,000 people convicted. Coming up, China's draft law on promoting ethnic unity across the country.
You've been listening to programs from CGTN Radio.
CGTN Radio.
We invite you to visit us online for more audio, pictures, and in-depth reports. At radio.cgtn.com, you can access a wide range of programs and find your favorite news, talk, features, entertainment shows, and podcasts. Hear the difference with CGTN Radio.
All right, 11 minutes past the hour. National People's Congress deputies have held a group meeting to review the draft law on promoting ethnic unity and progress during the national legislature's annual session. The draft law aims to bolster the legal foundation for advancing high-quality development in areas with large ethnic minority populations and promoting common prosperity among all 56 ethnic groups. Specific provisions are set out on infrastructure, industrial development, public services, protection of natural resources, and more. The draft law also says violent terrorism, ethnic separatism, and religious extremism will face criminal liability if constituting crimes. With more, Jiaoying spoke with Dr. Xiao Lu from the National Academy of Development and Strategies, Renmin University of China. Xiao's also worked as the deputy dean of the School of Marxism at Xinjiang University.
How do you think that this draft law will further promote ethnic unity and progress based on the existing progress China has already made in this regard?
Actually, since the beginning of the new era, under the leadership of the CPC, Chinese governments at all levels have consistently adhered to the principle of forging a strong sense of a community for the Chinese nation as their central guiding thread, particularly in minor ethnic areas such as Xinjiang, where I have been working, as a deputy dean of the Xinjiang University School of Marxism, also other 4 regions. So I think under this, currently under deliberation during the National People's Congress session, the draft law of promoting the ethnic development highlights the growing urgency of advancing rule of law-based governance in the domain of the ethnic unity. Because we know that notable initiatives, including development, institutional establishment, and other activities have been made, and a lot of achievement has already been made. For example, the 5G networks, for example, the remarkable infrastructure, for example, the improvement of people's livelihood. However, these are all policy practices rather than this legal-based governance. So I think this deliberation of the new law will be, providing more law-based governance in the future. And I think it will have the following meaning and following influence. First and foremost, the draft seeks to legally enshrine the principle of the strong sense of the community of Chinese nation, thereby establishing a foundational guideline for all ethnic-related initiatives. Secondly, the draft is designed to construct a comprehensive and systematic governance structure that addresses the current fragmentation in the existing laws and regulations. Last but not least, this draft also emphasized the prevention, the separatist activity, and the fortification of border governance through lawful and consistent measure.
You have also worked as the deputy dean of School of Marxism at Xinjiang University, and some experts say such legal protection of the ethnic unity will provide a greater sense of security and allow the people in Xinjiang to focus on pursuing development. What is your take on this? based on your own experience in the autonomous region?
Yes, I have been working as the Deputy Dean of the School of Marxism at Xinjiang University. I also have participated a lot of field trip in a local area, particularly in the grassroots area. So I think the adoption of the draft law will advance the construction of the Chinese national community at basically three levels. First of all, with the education as the foundation, particularly primary education as foundation, the government at all levels will incorporate the education on the Chinese national community into the national education system and cultivate the younger generation, cultivate the 5 identities among younger generation, ranging from teaching material to practice basis. Secondly, centering on economy or economic construction through industrial support and digital empowerment, government at all levels will facilitate the integration of ethnic region into the national strategy, such as Xinjiang component in just modernization. Thirdly, taking a culture, not only traditional culture, but also culture in broader view, culture as the core. Government will safeguard for example, the red heritage, explore the history of the communication exchange, and shape the shared spiritual symbol, aiming at building a common spiritual home. And more importantly, more significantly, the draft enshrines the principle of uniting and struggling together for common prosperity and development in the law. It will provide institutional guarantee for addressing development issues and promoting common prosperity.
That was Dr. Xiao Lu from Renmin University of China. Well, China's rapidly becoming an aging society, and most seniors say they'd rather stay in their own homes than move to care facilities. Now, new technologies under development, from AI health monitoring systems to companion robots, are helping seniors stay safe and connected. Wang Ziheng has more.
China's elderly care has formed what experts call a 90-7-3 pattern. That means about 90% of seniors prefer to receive care at home, 7% rely on community-based care, and only 3% reside in institutional care settings. But aging at home can come with risks, especially falls. For people over 65, falls are the leading cause of injury-related deaths. Each year, more than 40 million seniors in China experience at least one fall. Tang Xiaofeng, a lead researcher developing a smart in-home monitoring system, says AI can help close that safety gap.
It keeps track of things like posture, sleep, and vital signs around the clock. Radar sensors installed in the home can detect falls or unusual inactivity. If something goes wrong, the system immediately sends alert to our service platform.
Tang remembers a rescue case that their system made possible.
A man in his 70s who lives alone slipped and fell in his bathroom while showering around 9 a.m. Our service center tried calling the device, but there was no response. So we checked the non-privacy video function and reviewed the footage. In less than 3 minutes, we decided to contact community workers to go to his home.
About 10 minutes later, an ambulance arrived. This coordination between the AI platform, community workers, and emergency services is creating an important safety net for seniors who live alone. Beyond safety, the technology is also helping manage chronic illness. NPC Deputy Liu Qingfeng is chairman of tech company iFlyTech.
AI can now diagnose more than 2,600 diseases, and the number is still growing. Combined with our advanced voice technology, AI can work in the background like a caring medical worker, regularly calling elderly users to check on their health.
His team is also developing home robots that do more than just medical checks.
The robots reminds them to take medicine and can even chat with them. It can mimic the voice of a grandchild or an old friend to provide emotional value and companionship.
China's smart elderly care market currently stands at about 900 billion yuan, or roughly $120 billion. This figure is expected to top 1.2 trillion yuan this year. But experts say smart aging isn't only about high-tech solutions. It also includes upgrading facilities close to where seniors live. Political advisor Ge Junbo, a member of the Chinese Academy of Sciences, has long worked in healthcare and elderly care. He says the future of aging in place isn't just about medicine, but also about quality of life.
Caring for our seniors isn't just about treating illness, it's about helping them live well. That means upgrading our neighborhoods with basics like elevators and handrails, while using smart tech at home so they can stay independent and connected to the world around them.
From AI health monitoring to simple safety upgrades, the goal is the same, making sure that aging at home does not mean aging alone. For the Beijing Hour, this is Wang Zihang.
And coming up, Iran selects a new supreme leader.
Discover the realities and responses to our changing climate with Climate Watch. Uncover critical issues such as the Masai Mara's disrupted wildebeest migration and the drop in the Panama Canal's water levels. Delve into solutions for a sustainable future. Tune in to Climate Watch on your favorite podcast platform. Become more eco-conscious and take action to protect our planet.
21 past the hour. Iran's chosen Mojtaba Khamenei, son of the late Ali Khamenei, as the nation's new supreme leader. Iran's Assembly of Experts made the announcement after a meeting over the weekend. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has pledged allegiance to the new supreme leader. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian says the decision is the manifestation of Tehran's will to strengthen national unity. Asan Kevani reports from Iran.
9 days after the former supreme leader of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei, was killed in airstrikes carried out by Israel and the United States, Iranian state television has announced a new supreme leader has been chosen. In the early hours of Monday, the 88-member Assembly of Experts elected Mojtaba Khamenei, the second son of the late leader, to serve as the third supreme leader of the Islamic Republic of Iran.
This assembly, after thorough and extensive deliberations and by utilizing the authority granted under Article 108 of the Constitution, appoints and introduces Ayatollah Sayyid Mojtaba Khamenei, may God preserve him, as the third leader of the sacred system of the Islamic Republic of Iran.
According to the Iranian Constitution, the supreme leader serves as the country's commander-in-chief, holding authority over the country's foreign policy, armed forces, and various other key state institutions. Iran remains under a steady stream of attacks following decades of direct and indirect confrontation with Israel. During the 9-day interim period, while the country was governed by a temporary leadership council, Iran launched a strong military response to the U.S. and Israeli airstrikes. Iranian forces targeted multiple American military bases across the region and struck Israel with hundreds of ballistic missiles and drones. With tensions soaring and regional stability hanging in the balance, all eyes now turn to Tehran to see whether the new supreme leader will chart a path toward escalation or restraint.
That was Asan Kevani reporting. U.S. President Donald Trump has reportedly said a decision on when to end the war with Iran will be made with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the right time. This comes as the war has inflicted many casualties on the U.S. side. The Pentagon confirmed the death of a 7th U.S. service member from injuries sustained in Iran's retaliatory attack on Saudi Arabia. Huge fires are burning in Tehran after Israeli strikes on oil storage facilities. Iranian authorities say the strikes hit 4 oil depots and a petroleum logistics site. Israel says it targeted facilities used to support military infrastructure. Residents in Tehran have been warned to take precautions against toxic air and the risk of acid rain. It's the first time Iran's oil infrastructure has been targeted since the U.S. and Israel attacked Iran. Sapir Sarami has more on the story from one of the damaged oil depots.
Authorities here in Tehran are extremely worried about the environmental impact of such explosions on Tehran. The governor of Tehran just announced that the fuel supply network in Tehran has been damaged, and he said the full restoration of this network may take a few days. He also urged residents to avoid unnecessary travel and visits to gas stations unless essential. So I think Tehran will face some difficult days ahead, but the oil ministry is trying hard to restore the full capacity of this city in gas stations and also the relevant organizations.
That was Sapir Saremi reporting. China has called for an immediate end to hostilities in the Middle East. Special Envoy Jai Jun made their remarks during a meeting with Saudi Foreign Minister Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud in Riyadh. Jai said China upholds the purposes and principles of the United Nations Charter and is ready to work with Saudi Arabia to help maintain peace and stability in the Gulf region. Prince Faisal thanked China for its consistent efforts to uphold peace and expressed hope that Beijing would continue playing a constructive role in helping stop the war in the Middle East. Oil prices continue to rise as Middle East tensions and the closure of the Strait of Hormuz fuel concerns over tightening supply. Brent crude futures rose as much as 15% to over $106 a barrel. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude climbed 11% to $101 per barrel. U.S. President Donald Trump downplayed the spike, saying higher oil prices are a very small price to pay for the safety of the U.S. and the world. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney has wrapped up a 3-day trade mission to Australia as both nations seek to reduce their reliance on the United States. With conflict raging across the Middle East, the Australians and Canadians have pledged to strengthen ties amid global uncertainty. Rhett Burney has more from Melbourne.
Touching down in Australia, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney arrived to do business. A quick handshake with the Australian dignitaries before Canada's PM was whisked to a last-minute press conference to address America and Israel's war against Iran. Addressing Australia's Lowy Institute in Sydney, Mark Carney tried to get down to business, but the turmoil in the Middle East took centre stage, giving the Canadian PM an opportunity to make his case as to why countries like his and what he calls other middle power nations like Australia must strengthen ties.
And the old norms of the rules-based international order are being erased, and that new system that will emerge ultimately is yet to be built. Global institutions have often been too slow to react to crises and too ineffective when they did.
That message hand-delivered by Mark Carney to Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese as the pair met outside Australia's Parliament House in Canberra. Carney formally addressed the Australian government, then the world's media. Both leaders outlined their plans to work together directly.
We have agreed to increase collaboration on critical minerals through a range of measures, pursuing common positions on key critical minerals issues, increasing alignment between Australia's critical minerals strategic reserve and Canada's defence stockpiling regime.
And now, in a more uncertain, more divided world, Canada and Australia are middle powers charting our own course with confidence, ambition, and partnership. We're doing that together because we've grown up together.
Historically, Canada and Australia have always enjoyed a good bilateral relationship, but both are heavily reliant on the United States. And that's been a problem ever since Donald Trump was returned to the White House. So the Australians and the Canadians are both looking for alternate partners for trade, securities and investments. Australian businessman Sean Conlon is a global portfolio manager based in Melbourne.
There are no tariffs. 99% of goods that trade within that trading bloc are tariff-free.
And he struggles to see any downside to this new relationship.
And also there is liberalisation of access to each other's markets, which is very, very good. And it's very beneficial in particular for Australia and Canada. Our economies are highly correlated in that we're resource and commodity based.
Two middle power nations that, despite being more than 15,000 kilometres away from each other, are sticking together in a show of defiance amid global turmoil.
That was Rhett Burney reporting. Beijing cloudy with a low of 0 this evening. It's cloudy and 11 on Tuesday. Shanghai is cloudy overnight and down to +3, followed by sunshine and 12. Chongqing will be overcast and 10 degrees, then sunny and 21. Nanchang is getting a light rainfall this evening and a low of 8 degrees, followed by sunny skies and 17. Laos is cloudy tonight and tomorrow, a low of +2, the high 17. Elsewhere in Asia, Islamabad will see a light rainfall and a low of 16, a high of 29 degrees on Tuesday. It's time for a short break. So far this hour, the chairman of the National People's Congress Standing Committee has delivered a work report highlighting the building of the socialist market economy. NPC deputies have reviewed a draft law on promoting ethnic unity and progress across the country. Iran's Assembly of Experts has selected a new supreme leader for the country. Shane Bigham with you. Stay with us here on the Beijing Hour.
Listen up. Can you hear the heartbeat of our world? It's vibrant and pulsating with the essence of life itself. From the stem of trees to the gurgle of rivers. From the silent strength of mountains to the icy whispers of glaciers. Even the solid ground beneath our feet. Right there, in the midst of all, beats the heart of humanity. What if those other heartbeats were to stop? Would ours keep on ticking?
Ever wondered what's actually going on in Africa through the perspective of an African? How are things really going between China and Africa? What's the narrative of this relationship? Well, get a perspective with China-Africa Talk. Hear from African diplomats, entrepreneurs, academics, Chinese natives, and more. Get on our wavelength every week to find out what's real with China-Africa Talk. Find us on your favorite podcast. We'll see you there.
Examining the events that impact and shape China and the rest of the world. This is the Beijing Hour, 1 hour of news and information brought to you every weekday. Now here's your host,
Shane Bigham with you on this Monday. Still to come. In business, China remains committed to safeguarding order in capital markets. In sports, a Chinese Stars winner first All-England badminton title. In culture and entertainment, China's film market appears to be solidifying its #1 box office ranking globally. To contact us, you can email radio@cgtn.com or follow our X account @CGTNradio. But now checking the day's headlines, here's Wang Ziheng.
Thank you, Shane. Chinese President Xi Jinping has sent a congratulatory message to Antonio José Seguro on his inauguration as President of Portugal. President Xi said China and Portugal share a long-standing traditional friendship. He said over the 47 years since the establishment of diplomatic relations, the two countries have upheld mutual respect and support and used political wisdom to properly resolve the question of Macau. The Chinese president expressed readiness to work with his Portuguese counterpart to strengthen strategic communication, consolidate high-level mutual trust, and promote high-quality cooperation. China says its top legislature supported reform and development through high-quality legislation over the past year. The fourth session of the 14th National People's Congress held its second plenary meeting on Monday. China says it will move forward with legislation on finance and financial stability this year. The country will also advance the drafting of a state-owned assets law as part of the efforts to build a high-standard socialist market economy. Authorities say they will strengthen research on legislation in emerging fields, including artificial intelligence. China's top prosecutor says crime numbers dropped significantly in 2025. Addressing the ongoing annual session of the national legislature, he said the country handled nearly 3.5 million cases last year. Data shows that approvals for arrest fell nearly 12%, while prosecutions dropped almost 14%. Officials have credited the decline to China's continuously improving public security situation, saying the nation remains one of the safest in the world. Media reports say the group of 7 countries are set to discuss the possibility of a coordinated release of oil from emergency reserves. This comes as markets react to the surge in crude prices amid tensions in the Middle East. The reports say the proposal will involve a joint release of strategic reserves through the International Energy Agency. They say 3 G7 members have backed the idea, including the US. Israeli airstrikes across Lebanon since last Monday have killed around 400 people and injured over 1,100 others. The Lebanese health minister says many of the strikes hit residential neighborhoods and civilian facilities. He adds that emergency and medical teams have become direct targets while carrying out rescue operations. The escalation followed rocket fire toward Israel launched from Lebanon by Hezbollah. Israel has since launched what it called an offensive military campaign against the group. The Israel Defense Forces said its Northern Command conducted strikes against over 600 targets in Lebanon over the past week. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has called for efforts to make justice a reality for women and girls everywhere. In his message marking International Women's Day, the UN chief warned that women hold only 64% of the legal rights enjoyed by men worldwide, and that legal discrimination can shape every aspect of a woman's life. Guterres urged efforts to fight discriminatory laws and practices and defend the progress already achieved to ensure the dignity, opportunity, and freedom all women deserve. Rescuers have airlifted tourists and staff members from a national reserve in Kenya following severe flooding. They evacuated from the Masai Mara National Reserve before the downpour hit the area. Heavy overnight rainfall has triggered floods, killing at least 28 people in the capital Nairobi. The flooding also caused flight disruptions and left motorists stranded. Police say they may find more bodies as search and rescue operations continue. Kenyan President William Ruto has directed the release of relief food from national strategic reserves to assist affected families. And finally, a building partially collapsed after a major fire near Glasgow Central Station on Sunday, forcing the closure of Scotland's busiest railway station and causing widespread rail disruption. Reports say the fire started at a vape shop on Union Street in the city centre before spreading to a nearby building. Network Rail says Glasgow Central Station will remain closed until further notice and will not reopen on Monday morning while emergency services deal with the incident. No casualty have been reported.
All right, thank you very much. That's Wang Ziheng with headlines. And coming up in business, China remains committed to safeguarding order in capital markets.
The Beijing Hour, your window on China and the rest of the world.
37 past the hour. In business now, stock markets across Asia fell on Monday over surging oil prices and conflict in the Middle East. South Korea's bourse operator activated a circuit breaker following a bout of panic selling. The Kospi tumbled around 333 points, or nearly 6%. The country's also capped petrol prices for the first time in 30 years. Japan's Nikkei plunged more than 5%. Stock markets on the Chinese mainland also closed lower on Monday. The Shanghai Composite was down around 0.7%. The Shenzhen Component also down 0.7. In Hong Kong, the Hang Seng Index lost nearly 1.4%. China's been committed to safeguarding the order of the capital market and promoting its high-quality development. According to a work report of the Supreme People's Court, Chinese courts concluded around 25,000 cases concerning securities, futures, and funds in 2025, an increase of nearly 54% from a year earlier. The report says crimes like fraudulent issuance, financial forgery, and market manipulation were severely punished to protect the legitimate rights and interests of investors. China's consumer price index rose 1.3% on a yearly basis last month, the highest increase in nearly 3 years. The core CPI, which excludes food and energy prices, increased 1.8%. The CPI expanded from February's yearly rise of 0.2%, affected by Spring Festival spending and the overall recovery of demand. On a monthly basis, CPI went up 1% in February. Meantime, the producer price index dropped 0.9% compared to the same period last year. The National Bureau of Statistics says the decline is narrowing due to a rise in global commodity prices and rapid demand growth in certain domestic industries. And for more on the latest CPI, Lily Liu spoke with Daniel Yao, head of research at JLL China.
How would you interpret the latest CPI data from February?
We saw February's CPI data show stronger growth than January, indicating a continued recovery in consumption. And I think it would be useful to dive deeper into the breakdown and focus more on the various components. So first, service consumption like tourism, healthcare, household services, they led the CPI growth. This reflected households' growing priority on leisure and wellness. And secondly, CPI in some sectors, such as household appliance, continue to show a strong growth. And this is mainly driven by the government-backed trading initiatives. And they have been very effective in boosting sales for those subsectors. And of course, we should not neglect the seasonal effects from the Chinese New Year holiday, which boosts consumers' willingness to spend as well.
All right, and in the government work report, it states that there will be steps being taken to further unlock potential in consumption power. And that also highlighted some areas like cultural tourism, sports events, health and wellness. So have these new consumption scenarios and demands already emerged? Which sectors are expected to see new demand unlocked?
Good question. We do see new consumption scenarios and demand emergent across areas you mentioned. For example, consumers are increasingly pursuing emotional value in their spending with greater willingness to pay for experiences such as sport events, concerts, as well as cultural and creative products. Meanwhile, the relaxation of visa policy has significantly lifted inbound tourism. So total foreign tourist arrivals increased by 17% year-on-year, with the spending up 39% year-on-year. So we observed many retail spaces creating unique local culture experience to meet the demand. And it's also worth mentioning that tech is opening up new possibility in retail. Sports cameras, drones, high-quality headphones are getting more popular. And together with AI-enabled scenarios, such as immersive experience space, etc.
That was Daniel Yao with JLL China talking about the latest CPI and PPI figures. Integrated and coordinated development in the Yangtze River Delta is accelerating China's controllable nuclear fusion project, also known as the Artificial Sun Project. In Hefei, the entire facility is currently undergoing upgrades and renovations to lay the foundation for the next phase of experiments. The artificial sun has extremely high requirements for materials. The project leader says they can find most of what they need within the Yangtze River Delta. The number of participating companies has increased quickly, nearly quadrupling in less than 3 years. In Shanghai, companies are integrating the advantageous resources of the Yangtze River Delta to accelerate technological breakthroughs and applications. They aim to establish a main battlefield for the commercialization of fusion technology and guide market entities to collaboratively build R&D and manufacturing bases across the region. This year, China's consumer subsidies have included smartphone or smart home products for the first time. Ho Jing visited a smart home that can listen, speak, and think. The air conditioner knows your preferred temperature, the refrigerator recognizes every item placed inside, and the stove adjusts the heat automatically.
With lights turned on, your AI housekeeper starts working. Automatically, the air conditioner temperatures are adjusted to your comfort. And the curtains are too.
Smart home appliances are upgrading your lifestyle. 小优, 小优.
Please turn to home cinema mode. At home, you can rest, while machines do the rest. More than entertainment, your TV is a home control center. Just take the fridge as an example. With AI, it now can be your all-day nutritionist.
Users don't really understand how to regulate the freshness environment after putting food in the fridge. And sometimes I just forget after putting things in. There's no reminder, so the food spoils and goes to waste. With AI vision, the fridge becomes an appliance that can listen, speak, and think.
The information is also synchronized on your phone, so you can check what groceries you want to refill in your fridge anywhere you go. Recognizing the groceries is just the first step. How to keep them fresh is the goal.
Take strawberries and blueberries, for example. They don't just need low temperatures. Humidity and oxygen levels matter just as much. It's not only about preserving taste, but also maximizing the retention of key nutrients. We've locked in at 18% oxygen concentration, achieving low oxygen, high nitrogen conditions by separating the oxygen in the storage space. This mainly stems from consumers' growing pursuit of a better life. They're no longer satisfied with single-function products. They want more multidimensional experiences. So around consumer needs, we're gradually adding on services, which aren't necessarily about manufacturing itself, more at software level. These services ultimately feed back into manufacturing. The next generation of products will optimize their manufacturing based on this. The digitization of fridges is just the first step. Besides, various industrial software systems inside need to be integrated. The supply chain gets distributed through a data platform to every end, enabling rapid, coordinated improvement across all ends. This is actually a systematic task.
According to the 2026 Home Appliance Service Industry and Emerging Market Trends Forecast Report, the policy support, technological empowerment, and consumption upgrading will boost Chinese smart home market to 280 billion yuan by 2026 and establish it as one of the core growth engines for the home appliance sector. This dynamic will catalyze a profound industrial transformation, a shift from product sales to integrated, scenario-based services.
That was Ho Jing reporting. An industry report on China's silver economy estimates that the country's elderly consumer market could reach 30 trillion yuan, or about $4.4 trillion US dollars, by 2035, accounting for 10% of the country's GDP. Former Deputy Director Deng Junwu with China Research Center on Aging says the greater inner need is to enable senior citizens to enjoy leisurely activities and learn new skills while in good health. Deng also called for efforts to build a powerful product and service system, as seniors are becoming an increasingly important segment of the economy. From one-stop gathering clubs to age-friendly products and door-to-door nursing, the silver economy now covers entertainment, medical care, and rehabilitation, a complete economic ecosystem spanning production, supply, and consumption. The China Research Center on Aging says the silver economy will likely exceed 9 trillion yuan this year. It is expected to reach 30 trillion by 2035 with a compound annual growth rate of nearly 16%. You're listening to the Beijing Hour. Coming up in sports, Chinese stars won her first All-England badminton title.
Sideline Story brings you all things sports related. The hottest topics, latest events, juiciest stories, all with a very personal take. Subscribe to Sideline Story Podcast for heated sports discussions covering events that are happening in China and around the world.
47 past the hour now. I'm turning to sports. Here's Yang Guang.
Thank you, Shane. In badminton, Wang Zhiyi won her first All-England badminton title. She defeated top seed An Se-yong in straight games. Wang had lost her last 10 matches against world number 1. She also lost in her previous 6 finals. But this time, she came out firing and controlled the first game. Anne fought back in the second, but Wang held her nerve at match point. Wang says the victory is a dream come true.
I'm super excited and I feel like a dream come true. But honestly, I still can't believe I can win the match. So yeah, I'm really happy.
The win ended a 7-year title drought for China in women's singles at the event. In the women's doubles final, China's Liu Shengshu and Tan Ning beat a pair from South Korea. The top seeds took control early. They grabbed opener 21-18 before dominating the second 21-12 to seal the title. The victory marked their first All-England trophy as a pair and sealed China's first women's doubles crown at this event in 7 years. Liu and Tan also extended their winning streak to 15 matches and topped their third straight podium on tour after India and Malaysia. In basketball, China has defeated the Czech Republic 85-51 in its final warm-up game before the FIBA Women's World Cup qualifiers. China dominated from the start, leading 27-13 after the first quarter. The team extended its lead to 51-27 by halftime and cruised to victory. 3 Chinese players scored in double figures. Team center Zhang Ziyu added 8 points in just 6 minutes. China had previously beaten Brazil twice in warm-up games. The qualifiers will tip off in Wuhan on Wednesday. China will face Belgium, Brazil, South Sudan, and the Czech Republic and Mali. As the continental champion, Belgium has already secured a place in the World Cup finals. The remaining teams will compete for 3 qualification spots. Now turning to tennis, Alexander Zverev has reached the fourth round of the ATP Masters 1000 event in Indian Wells. He knocked out Brandon Nakashima in 3 sets. Yannick Sinner has also booked a place in the round of 16 after beating Denis Shapovalov 6-3, 6-2. Felix Auger-Aliassime and Francis Tiafoe have also progressed. 8th seed Ben Shelton was out, losing to Lena Tian in 3 sets. In the women's side, Amanda Anisimova has secured a spot in the round of 16 at Indian Wells Open. She clinched a straight set victory over Emma Raducanu. Naomi Osaka also advanced, beating Camila Osorio in 3 sets, while the number 1 Arina Sabalenka cruised past Jacqueline Christian in straight sets. In football action from the Chinese Super League, FA Cup winners Beijing Guoan got their campaign off to a decent start by coming away from Wuhan Three Towns with a 2-0 victory. This is the club's second match under new boss Nick Montgomery following the Super Cup victory. Next up for Guoan is a clash against Shandong Taishan away on Saturday. Wuhan hosts Dalian on Friday. In other action, Chengdu Rongchen beat Shenzhen Peng City 5-1. Yunnan Yukun secured a 3-1 home win over Qingdao Hainiu. Shanghai Shenhua also started with a victory edging Dalian Ningbo 5-3. 2 newly promoted sides made their CSL debuts. Chongqing Tonglianglong drew goalless against the Tianjin Jinmen Tigers. Liaoning Tianren suffered a 3-0 away defeat to Shandong Taishan. Defending champion Shanghai Port lost to FC Henan 2-1. Leeds United has cruised into the FA Cup quarter-finals for the first time in 23 years. They beat Norwich 3-0. This is Leeds' first quarter-final appearance since 2003. The team bounced back from consecutive Premier League defeats. Elsewhere, Ross Stewart scored a late penalty to give Southampton a 1-0 victory against Fulham to reach the FA Cup quarter-finals. And finally, China has continued its impressive run at Milano Cortina Winter Paralympics. Team China claimed 4 gold medals and 2 silvers on the second day of para-biathlon events at the Tesserol cross-country skiing stadium. All events on day 2 are long-distance races with athletes skiing 12.5 kilometers and completing 4 shooting sessions of 5 bullets, with each miss resulting in 1-minute penalty. In the men's individual sitting, Liu Zixu hit all targets to grab gold.
I'm really excited. I feel that winning this gold medal was extremely difficult because my physical condition was not at the best level. Before the competition, my goal was simply to do my best and complete the race.
In the day's other biathlon events, Wang Yue finished the first in women's individual visually impaired final to win her second gold. The previous day saw Wang and her course guide Chen Guoming claim title in the sprint final. On the men's side, China's Da He-song and his guide Lu Hongda topped the podium. In the women's individual standing final, China's Zhao Zhiqing took silver. Ji Lijia and Wu Zhongwei also clinched the golds in the day.
All right, thank you very much. That was Yang Guang with sports. You're listening to the Beijing Hour. Coming up in culture and entertainment, China's film market appears to be solidifying its #1 box office ranking globally.
From north to south, east to west, people in China are chasing their dreams and leaving their mark. Want to know how they beat the odds and made a difference? Footprints brings you the true life stories of their journeys.
53 past the hour. Turning to culture and entertainment. China's film industry continues its strong run in 2026. Box office revenue has now reached nearly 11 billion yuan, or about $1.6 billion US, and that accounts for nearly 30% of the global film market. With the milestone, China's become the world's top grossing film market so far, surpassing North America by roughly $330 million. This year, many Chinese films have also opened worldwide. Their global influence continues to grow. Musicians from Norway and China have shared views about how musical traditions travel, connect, and thrive through cultural exchange. Norwegian national treasure band Kano and musician Jargle from China's grasslands recently had a musical encounter. Ali reports.
The Norwegian band Kano, known for blending pop, electronic, and Sami Yoik once served as UN ambassadors for the International Year of the Indigenous Languages. Jago, a musician from China in Mongolia, a master of the horsehead, fiddle, and humi, is a seasoned performer on the global stage. Recently, the two came together for an impromptu collaboration in Beijing, in a stunning musical encounter between two completely distinct ethnic traditions. Let's hear what the artists have to say.
First of all, I'm really excited to hear Yoik and Humai together. Yoik is so powerful, so hopefully the speakers won't break when you go together. Hopefully.
Yeah, but we also hope to inspire the audience to learn more about the traditions and to how that you can use that in the modern context, because it has given us a lot to learn about the Sami tradition, and we hope to learn more about the Inner Mongolian traditions as well today.
I feel that music is more primal than language. So, the music from our grasslands and their Arctic music should both exist in the same kind of space.
This is the magic of music. A shared reverence for nature bridges the distance between cultures. No need for many words, just listen and you feel it. This beautiful musical dialogue shows how civilizations can learn from one another through exchange. Music connects the world.
That was Ali reporting. A Brazilian expert says China's boosting cultural exchanges by modernizing its traditions. Ronnie Lins is executive director of the Brazil-China Research and Business Center. He points to the global success of video game Black Myth Wukong and the film Ne Jia 2 as key examples. He says these works present Chinese culture in a contemporary way that appeals to young people worldwide.
The international reach of productions such as the Black Myth Wukong and Neida show that traditional Chinese culture can engage with the world in a contemporary way. When they create interpreted through games, animation, and digital platform, it becomes accessible, dynamic, and especially applying to young generation.
Lins also praised China's visa policies for promoting people-to-people dialogue and mutual respect. He says facilitating the movement of students, entrepreneurs, and visitors helps reduce stereotypes and misunderstandings. We're at 57 past now. Beijing cloudy. Overnight it's down to 0. Tuesday is cloudy and 11 degrees. Shanghai's cloudy and 3 overnight, then sunny and 12. Chongqing will be overcast and 10 degrees, then sunny and 21. Nanchang's getting a light rainfall and 8 degrees overnight, followed by sunshine and 17. Last is cloudy tonight and tomorrow, a low of +2. The high is 17. And that's it for this edition of the Beijing Hour. Making news today, the chairman of the National People's Congress Standing Committee has delivered a work report highlighting the building of a socialist market economy. And NPC deputies have reviewed a draft law on promoting ethnic unity and progress across the country. On behalf of the staff, this is Shane Bigham in the Chinese capital, hoping you'll join us for the next edition of the Beijing Hour and open a window to the world together.
Find the Beijing Hour at precisely 6 p.m. Beijing time. We meet you on podcast and on air every weekday. The Beijing Hour, your window on China and the rest of the world.
He can't live without the Yellow River in his eyes.
The Yellow River is so noble and elegant.
Both my grandpa and dad made a living from the river.
Would you like to move away from the Yellow River?
I don't think I will. I love it so much.
The Yellow River, the second longest river in China, is regarded as a shaping force in the history, economy, and culture of northern China. Today, about 100 million people live within its water basin, making up nearly 9% of the country's population. How is climate change felt at its headwaters, and what are the locals doing to cope with it? What are the descendants of the boatmen doing? What has kept some people from leaving their home village by the river, and what has drawn others back? Could the fading fishing community revive in a time of digital transformation? From 2021 to 2024, our reporters visited the upper, middle and lower reaches of the Yellow River, talked to the herders, farmers, boatmen, fishermen and eco-activists who share a close bond with the river, and present their stories in pictures, podcasts and videos, all in our 12-part series, The Yellow River Mosaic, available only on CGTN Radio